Okay guys, welcome back to a new video here. So we discussed in our last video the Kamala Harris on Fox News breakdown. Got a lot of views. One thing I'll say is if you guys like the content, just give a subscription. Would be very much appreciated. A lot of the viewers are currently not subscribers, so it would be very helpful if you guys can do that. Now, I want to get into, as we get into the stretch run here of the campaign, how are the candidates using their media time as opposed to different campaigns? I mean, we've seen in terms of this campaign, a significant amount of podcasts and alternate news being used as opposed to many mainstream outlets. I mean, we saw Kamala Harris on Fox News yesterday, but particularly with Trump, we've seen him go in the podcast mill. I mean, we've seen, he's just on the PBD podcast today. I mean, let's just be honest, it was a relatively softball interview from Patrick Bet-David. But again, that's kind of smart from Trump. You want to try and appeal to, and I think what he's trying to do is appeal to young men. I think that is kind of his goal. And he's been going on to a lot of podcasts. Theo Vaughn, Andrew Schultz, very smart, I would say, trying to get his message out to a specific group where Kamala's not really doing too well, per se. Now, Kamala, on the other hand, has been going on Call Her Daddy, but she hasn't been doing as many podcasts as Trump. There's no question about that. But I think maybe the key podcast here, or the key interview that both candidates might be going on, is the Joe Rogan podcast. Now, I think it's definitely more likely that Trump goes on the Joe Rogan podcast just because it seems as though he's really interested in going on Rogan. And Rogan for a while has refused to have Trump on, but now it finally seems as though there's some sort of negotiation happening. And guys, I'm going to be honest, I didn't think it was possible that Kamala would go on, whether because Rogan didn't want her on or Kamala would even go on. But apparently there's negotiations that are currently happening that it might happen, which would be crazy to see. I mean, I don't know if this is necessarily going to be the best avenue for her, just in terms of the questions she might be asked. I feel like she might fold under pressure, but who knows? Maybe it could be a good place for her to try and appeal to Rogan's group of voters. Now, I do wonder if maybe Rogan reached out to Kamala because he kind of wants to have a perception of fairness. So maybe he wouldn't have Trump on unless he has Harris on. It'll be interesting to see how or if he has both of them on. Does he not? There was kind of rumors that there might be a debate between the two that Rogan would host. There's no way that's going to happen. I mean, that would be pretty crazy. But I think it's possible that we see both of them on. Now, it would be huge. I mean, I think, especially Harris, which would be kind of surprising. Harris going on Fox, on Rogan, it's a completely different audience. Trump has already gone on to a bunch of podcasts that are kind of in Rogan's world, like Schultz, Theo Vaughn. Harris has really not appealed to this group of people yet, or to the Rogan audience. Now, if she goes on there, it would be very interesting to see how she holds up. I'm still skeptical, to be honest, guys. I don't know if she's going to do it. And honestly, would it shock me? I gotta be fair, guys. I wouldn't be shocked if she sent out to Rogan, you can't ask me this, and Rogan just said no. Which, by the way, Rogan has every right to do, and I'd probably say the same thing. I mean, this is a conversation, but I don't know. I have no clue. It'll be interesting to see if she agrees to it, but I'd be curious to see how Rogan would conduct the interview. Would it be a hardball interview, or would it just be a conversation, which is probably what he would say. It would be interesting to see the contrast between a Rogan-Trump interview and the Harris-Trump interview. I think the Rogan interview with Trump would be interesting. I think if I was a betting man, I would say that is likely that Trump and Rogan sit and Kamala doesn't, but I don't know. It's possible that we see both of them. I think it's more likely at this point we see both of them than neither of them. So, and I would not have said that a couple of months ago. Based on all the reports on Patrick Bet-David, Trump said today that he would be going on Rogan. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. But guys, we've got 2 weeks for the campaign. It's going to be a media blitz from the candidates. I would say it's fair to expect the next couple of weeks. But Rogan, I would say probably within the last week of the campaign, you're going to see them on. Even though, you guys, voting has started already. Voting has started. So, I mean, they should probably get on this pretty quickly. I don't know if there'll be an announcement before this takes place or if it'll just happen spontaneously. But regardless, we're seeing the candidates, specifically Trump, hit the podcast mill, and Patrick Bet-David already has over 500,000 views in just 4 hours. So, I mean, it's definitely getting a lot of media attention. And we'll see, guys. And again, we'll talk about it in the next few days. Also, important note, the Hamas leader, Yahya Sinwar, was killed in an Israeli drone attack. Just another major development in the war. Still waiting on the the Israeli response or the attack on Iran following the Iranian attack, which took place earlier this month. So we'll come out with a lot more information on that over the next couple days. Thank you guys for watching. Just a quick video here. Just thought it was interesting to discuss the Rogan podcast. Will it happen? Will it not? I would say Trump does it, Kamala doesn't. Or Trump does it, Kamala doesn't. But who knows? At this point, I think it's anyone's guess. It'll be interesting to see how Rogan would conduct himself in the interview, as well as Harris and Trump. But a lot going on right now. 2 weeks before the election. I'm sure it's going to be a crazy couple of weeks. And yeah, so I'll see you guys in a couple of days.